New at 4, a century-old orange grove in Woodland Hills that you see right here appears to be on its way to becoming the site of luxury homes. This is a transformation that would mark the end of commercial citrus farming in the San Fernando Valley.
Over a century ago, nuggets in the beds of mountain streams made California famous as the Golden State. Today, more than 200 years after the Mission Fathers first brought oranges and lemons to the West, colorful harvests of citrus fruits carry on the golden tradition.
So citrus kind of has deep roots in Southern California. It was literally the king of California crops, the most profitable fruit that was grown in the Golden State.
Today, Western citrus brings both health and fun, all wrapped up by nature herself in the soft but strong packages which preserve the freshness and health-giving elements of oranges, lemons, and grapefruit until they reach our homes.
Orange trees really were the defining feature of the landscape. You could just drive for miles on end and see almost nothing but orange trees. But Southern California kind of got this reputation of being the heart of the citrus industry in the United States. Gold rush obviously took place up in the Central Valley and in Sacramento. That's where the so-called mother lode was located. That's where all the gold seams are deposited and where all the mining took place.
Before the year was over, many stories and books were printed on California and how to get there.
There really wasn't too much gold mining in Southern California. So citrus really was seen as sort of the Southern California equivalent to what was going on in other parts of the state. Citrus farming picked up a little bit in the 1840s, and then it really boomed in Southern California in the 1870s.
There are two major kinds of oranges in the West, so ripe oranges are ready the year round. This is summer. Valencias are ripe on the trees. Believe it or not, this is winter. The navel crop is ready for market. And now these two kinds of Western oranges, the Valencia, which ripens in the summer, and the navel, which is picked during winter months. Both get their completely natural brightness from ripening right on the trees.
And so there became sort of this culture of basically rich, retired sort of white men who were maybe professionals like doctors or lawyers in a previous life, deciding to come out from places like New England or the Midwest to transplant themselves to Southern California to open an orange grove and essentially make a pretty decent living for themselves.
At the bottom of each ladder is a man, a picker. His skill is not to be lightly regarded.
They would hire day laborers who early on were usually indigenous Californians, Native Americans. Chinese worked in the citrus industry in very large numbers. By the 20th century, Japanese and especially Mexican and Mexican-American laborers became the backbone of the citrus industry. And in many cases, they weren't really necessarily getting rich off of what they were doing. Definitely the owners wanted to pay their workers as little as they could. If you go to a lot of old citrus towns, oftentimes you would find that rich people would build like mansions or at least much nicer homes sort of in elevated neighborhoods. Compare that to some of the slums. There's really no other word for it. Workers would live, and the Mexicans would refer to the places where they lived, for instance, as colonias or citrus colonies. And they were generally on what they called the wrong side of the tracks, or the bad side of the railroad tracks, where, maybe they had access to crummier schools, poorer grocery stores, and just weren't necessarily reaping the benefits of the citrus industry the way that some of these owners were. The Sunshine State has been growing oranges for longer than California has, at least on a sort of commercial scale.
In 1579, the good ship Clementina sailed into St. Augustine, Florida, bearing proudly to our shores that golden treasure, the orange.
And there really was a competition to see which state can not only grow more, but who can get their fruits to the market faster, who can grow the tastiest variety of oranges, who can grow a greater volume to make sure that they corner the market. And so California really did have to fight Florida tooth and nail to build a name for itself.
Full of flavor and full of vitamin C, and full of protopectins and bioflavonoids. These are very big names for very tiny but very valuable health guardians.
And so when you look at Southern California, what do you see today? You see Hollywood, urban growth and sprawl, freeways, television, maybe a little bit of music as well. Citrus isn't part of that identity anymore. But even more important, as the population was booming in the 1940s, during World War II and after World War II, houses were starting to go up. So we're going to rip out orange trees, we'll pay the owners of the land a whole lot of money, and we will replace them with houses. To the point that we've reached today, where orange groves are like almost non-existent. Disneyland used to be a big orange grove. It's because we in Southern California sort of gave up oranges and said that's not who we are anymore. We are now Hollywood. We're a heavily developed urban society.
Here's Hollywood, capital of the world's entertainment. This is Radio Roll, where stars and the best technical skills of the radio industry combine to send endless hours of entertainment into your home.
So I think with the demise of the citrus industry, Southern California has really embraced its multiculturalism a lot more. Sure, a lot of Mexicans came into California to own orange groves, but after the citrus industry disappeared and that Mexican population is still here, what do? They become skilled professionals, they become educators, lawyers, doctors, and so they're able to make more money to achieve a better livelihood than they would have just picking oranges. Citrus may be gone from the landscape of California, but it really lingers in people's memories. So many seals that are used by city and county governments depict oranges and lemons and grapefruits on them. Orange County is never going to completely break away from that history. It'll always be there. We just might need to dig deep to find it if the trees have all been uprooted.